In today's video, you're going to learn how to figure out which scale to use over any chord progression. Let's get started. Hello, my name is David. Welcome to this channel, which is all about helping you develop your musical personality on the instrument so that you can tell a better story. You have something worth telling musically. This is the channel where we learn how to effectively tell that story. Today is an essential lesson. We're going to learn how to figure out what scale to use over any chord progression. And it all starts with the familiar sound of the major scale. Now I'm talking about this sound right here. Whether you know how to play it or not is irrelevant. I'm sure that you've heard this sound before. It's embedded in Western music. Ta 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 ta, do re mi fa sol la si do. I'm saying it the French way. That sound should really be second nature. Now, if you can't sing it, that's okay as long as you can play it and as long as you can hear what is going on your guitar. Make sure you're in tune, and as long as no note comes as a surprise. So I'm going to use the 3-note per string system here. You can use anything you want. Make sure that you have this under your fingers. I'm going to do this in A, which is 6th string, 5th fret. On the 6th string, we have frets 5, 7, 9. On the next one, 5, 7, 9. And then on the next one, we have 6, 7. So that's 8 notes that we played. Get in the habit of saying the number as you play it. Singing it is even better if you can. So we'll try this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very important to be able to recognize the sound of these notes. And the next step is to practice that scale starting on a different fret. So we'll try this in G, for example. G is on the low E string, 3rd fret. Same sound, right? We still have those 8 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's try it backwards. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's try this now. Here's my first starting note. La, whatever that is. Ba, and we're going to try to sing as we play it. Ba, ba, ba. If you're not hitting the right note, if you're singing something like this, ba, ba, fix it. Ba, ba, na, na, na. It really should be second nature. Now these numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, are intervals. Intervals are the distance between 2 notes, and intervals are fundamental in music because intervals create what scales are. It's the blueprint of the scale, of the chord, and all those things. You learned the major scale. Out of that major scale, a lot of different things can happen. Now, the typical major scale that we played, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, has 8 different notes. Technically 7 because the 8th note and the first are the same function. So we'll call it 7, okay? Now if I say play the 3rd, well, use that major scale. 1, 2, 3, that's the 3rd note. If I say the 5th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's the 5th note. Here's something that I'm going to make a generalization here. There are always exceptions in music, but here's my bold statement, which is not always true, but most of the time. In Western music, there are 7-note scales all the time, 7 notes. So over any chord progression, you always can find 7 notes. These 7 notes are going to make a scale. Now, not all these 7 notes are always going to be from the major scale. If we didn't have that, it would mean that all the songs are in major. And no, some songs are in minor, some songs are in Dorian, some are Phrygian, some are Phrygian dominant, tons of different scales, but all these scales have 7 notes. Now, that leads us to the question, how do we know which of the 7 notes to use? And what does that even mean? Because I have these 7 notes, does that mean that there are other 7 notes? Yes. We need to talk a little bit about subclassification of intervals. When I said earlier the 3rd is this. From this note, 1, 2, 3. It wasn't completely accurate. It is the third, but if I really want to be detailed, that third has an adjective. It's a major third, which means that there's another kind of third, the minor third. I'm sure you've heard of that before. Now here is something very important. In that major scale that you learned and that you hopefully are singing, that major scale has intervals, 7 of them, and all these intervals are major, except for the 4th and the 5th. They're perfect. Okay, now let's be a little more precise. Here's our reference pitch. We're going to start in G, which is on the low E string 3rd fret. From there, from that G, would you please play the major third? Yes, play that 1, 2, 3. That's the major third. It works great. Major third, perfect. Okay, perfect. Let's play the perfect 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4. There it is. How about the perfect 5th? Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There it is. Now, in order, within that major scale, we'll go back to A, just for fun, low E string 5th fret. Here are the accurate names of all these intervals. 1, also known as the root. 1, major 2nd, major 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, major 6th, major 7th. Awesome. Okay. Now, what about the other types of intervals? Well, we're going to do a little bit of vocabulary here. Very, very basic stuff. This is not an in-depth thing on intervals. If you want to go further on this, well, I'll tell you about something at the end, again, free if you want to speed up the process. But for now, these intervals can have other classifications, and here's the vocabulary piece that I want to give you. A major interval can be made minor. So major and minor kind of go hand in hand. In order to make major minor, you go 1 fret below. In the same way, in order to make minor major, you go 1 fret higher. Okay, so major and minor go hand in hand. The perfect intervals, which are the 4th and the 5th, have also subcategories. Augmented, 1 fret higher. Diminished, 1 fret lower. So really there are 3 versions of the 4th and the 5th. There's perfect 4th, diminished 4th, and augmented 4th. We never talk about the diminished 4th. It doesn't matter for now. Why? Why? You really want to know? Well, because it sounds like a major third. It's the same exact thing. I don't want to confuse you. Forget that I said that. The perfect can be made diminished by going 1 fret below. The perfect can also be made augmented by going 1 fret higher. That's all you need to know. Okay, ready now to figure out any scale? Let's do this. I'm going to just click play on a few backing tracks on there. And together, I'm going to walk you through the process on how you can figure out which scale to use. Here's our first backing track. And as we listen, we want to find the 1. Can we sing that major scale? Let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The chords changed, but it still worked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You need to give it a little bit of time because sometimes a chord that happens later on is going to indicate that it's not completely major. Not all the intervals work. In this case, it does. So we're in major something. We're in G major. Still works there. Ba, 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 da, 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 da. Right? Now let's try that on the guitar. We are in G, low E string 3rd fret. That's what I sang. Now I was able to sing it, but you could just fish around. Now let's play that. The major scale, it's in G major. You can play whatever combination of notes. Very pretty. So that's major. That was simple. Let's try another backing track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, that doesn't work. Some notes clash, and you heard it. I was singing the major scale, which we learned Doesn't work. Now we need to pinpoint which intervals don't work. Okay, 1, 2, those work. 1, 2, 3, 3 clashes. So the major third clashes, therefore we need to alter it, transform it into the other version of the third, which is minor. And remember, make a major interval minor by going 1 fret below. So that's easy. We just go with our major scale, which happens to be A. Down to major third doesn't work, so minor third. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we figured out the first 3 notes. Let's continue to figure out the other 4 notes. Okay, so one by one. 1, 2, flat 3 or minor 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's fine. 5, fine. 6, fine. And the major scale was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, the 7 doesn't work. 7 doesn't work. The major 7th needs to be changed also to its alternative, which is minor. A major interval becomes minor. So here's what we have on the guitar. We have 1, 2, minor 3, 4, 5, 6, minor 7. That's our scale, that's our blueprint. So the blueprint that we have is 1, 2, minor 3, 4, 5, 6, minor 7. You don't need to know the name of that scale. It's Dorian. But we don't need to know that. As long as you know the blueprint of the scale, you can play over this. And that's what we can try doing right now. All these intervals work great over this track, and that's pretty much how you can figure out which scale to use over any chord progression. These were just 2 quick examples, but you see how starting with the major scale, really internalizing the sound of the major scale, knowing how to play it, naming the intervals, and knowing that the major scale is just made of major intervals, except for the 4th and the 5th that are perfect, and you can alter those with the modifiers. Major becomes minor. Perfect can be made diminished or augmented. You can figure out any scale. It's crazy what you can do when you know that, and it just starts with the major scale. It's something you can work in your car, driving. Da, 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 over any song that is on your radio or CD, MP3, whatever it is, and figuring out what actually makes the scale of that song, and that's how it's done. If you want to practice this stuff, I prepared for you a few backing tracks that are going to help you develop your ear and the charts. The link is in the description of this video. Once you sign up for free, you'll get access to the assets of this video, but also many other videos on the channel. New videos are added daily. Just sign up once. It's free. It's a great way to practice. If you have not subscribed yet, consider doing so. Make sure you hit the bell notification so that you're notified whenever a new video comes out. And if you want to stick with me for another video, I recommend the one on the top. Check it out. Thanks so much for watching this. I'll see you very soon.